Welcome, everyone. We're going to start this meeting. I call the meeting to order at 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock, sorry. I put 8 down, and I will read the land acknowledgement. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattaway, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Masagas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The City of Thorold stands with Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Any declarations of interest? Seeing none. Moving on to the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda? Joe and Robert. All those in favor? Passed. Adoption of the minutes. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes from PTRC 1/2024, January 8th, 2024? Can I get a mover and a seconder? Cheryl and Sean. All those in favor? Passed. And now I'll call a presentation. I will now introduce Mal Romanin, who will be presenting on a proposal to bring a summer collegiate baseball team to Thorold. Welcome, Mal.
Thank you very much.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Firstly, I'd just like to thank everybody for taking the time to come tonight and listen to what I have to say. So hopefully you find it very interesting. Justin, if you don't mind, just going to that first slide and I'll quickly... Can everybody hear me okay? Fine. I have the green light on. It's on. It's good. Just a quick introduction, who I am. Mal Romanin, obviously the principal with Dead Red Sports and Entertainment Group. One of my partners here, Gord Shin, just to my right, just so you know who we are here. I grew up in Thorold, so very, long time ago, I suppose, but born and raised in Thorold, Ontario. Spent 12 years with the Major League Baseball club, the Toronto Blue Jays, handling all their communications, all their travel, trying to keep the players out of trouble as best I could, or hide it when they did get into trouble. So I spent a lot of time with the club on the road and extensive baseball background. Because of that, I have extensive contacts within the media, which obviously could come in handy for the venture I'm about to propose. That just gives me, I've been in baseball my whole life, from playing at McMillan Park when I was young and playing on, our all-star teams back then, and, just living through Thorold and all the way up through my kids going through the system and playing elite baseball. So just so you have a little background, I've pretty much a knowledge of all levels of baseball. So thank you again for taking the time for us. So Justin, if you don't mind, that next slide. Here's what my vision is and what I'd like to see, and very much like to do this in a lovely city like Thorold. There are various levels of baseball, and you're very familiar with the grassroots minor baseball. Every community, has that, and as they should. And I think we're obligated to provide those type of things for all our citizens. That will be the bottom rung here, and as you move up, you play in elite league baseball, travel ball, if you're good enough to do so. That's kind of the next level up. And then many people will aspire to play college level baseball. If they're good enough, they'll go from one of these prep team programs to hopefully some sort of scholarship in the States, because that's where, the elite level baseball is played once you get to that level of potential possibilities there. So you'll see you've got NCAA, NAIA, NJCAA, which is JUCO, all forms of college baseball. What I'm proposing is to bring a summer collegiate team. Now, what happens with these teams is the Division I teams, any player worth their salt in baseball, their coaches want them to play in a summer league that's elite. So they prepare them for professional baseball. So if you have aspirations to get drafted into the major leagues, play anything beyond college ball, and you're lucky enough to get there, there's different levels or different leagues that are available to you. and you need to play in these leagues. And it's basically a pro game every day. You play for 2 months, June and July, and you're playing high-level competitions. It's kind of like you're trying to put these all-star teams of all-star teams together. They're very successful. However, there's not much of that in our part of the world. So I'm proposing we put the first one of our kind in Thorold, and I think it would be a highly successful venture. And as you can see, once you get beyond that, these kids, they're very elite players. They'll go on to professional baseball, some of them. You can play in the minor leagues. There's independent leagues available throughout the states. And then the small little cone at the top are those very fortunate that spend some time at the major league level. And obviously, the league and the team I'm proposing prepares these kids for those last two little minuscule squares. I'd like to compare it a little to what we know here is like the Ontario Hockey League. It's very similar age group, that type of thing. Well, a little older. They don't have the 16-year-olds, but it's aspiring baseball players. So this is what I'm proposing to bring to the city of Thorold. Justin, if you don't mind, on the next slide. First thing I'll say is just please ignore the name of the team up there. That's just a placeholder, something to throw on the screen. It obviously wouldn't be called that, but that is what our goal is here at Dead Red Sports, and what my passion and goal is here is to bring this first summer collegiate team in this area to Thorold, Ontario, as opposed to some other places where we could put it. Again, you see it's NCAA and college players. It's woodbat leagues, and the reason it's a woodbat league is because that's what the pros play. And our whole goal is to prepare them for beyond this step and to play professional baseball. Key thing is the games are played in just June and July over 8 weekends. Obviously, they're college kids, so they have to not be in school to do this. It's a 2-month sprint type thing, and it's preparation for beyond this in professional baseball. So you're looking at 22 home games, basically 20 home dates. It's certainly not overly intrusive as far as a April to September type thing as June and July. For us in Thorold, there's 2 leagues that we are looking at. One is the Perfect Game League, and one is the New York Collegiate Baseball League. And obviously, you need to have the geography that works. Those are the 2 leagues that would be up for discussion for something in this area. So just as a form of reference. Justin, if you don't mind. Now, just everyone here understands the scope of it. I don't know who's familiar with baseball, but I'd say the premier college prep league is the Cape Cod League that's in New England. Very famous league. The top tier, a lot of major leaguers play. There's a Western Canadian League. It's the only league in Canada, Saskatchewan and Alberta. The Northwood League is in Michigan, and the Perfect Game League we put for reference. As you can see, the attendance that these leagues have. So they do very well. This is per game. So they do very well. They're great in the smaller communities. They bring a lot of benefits to these communities. And the Perfect Game League, as you can see, there's some teams that obviously need some assistance with what they do, and some very, very successful teams that draw 3,500 a night in their facilities, which obviously you have to have the proper facility for. So there's only one team in Ontario, and that's in Thunder Bay, and that's in the Northwoods League. So there is no other collegiate teams in Ontario, and they do extremely well. Obviously, they draw 1,500 a night, so whether it's a Tuesday, obviously more on a weekend, and less than a Tuesday, but they average 1,500, and that's just for reference of what I've envisioned and what can be done in Thorold, as opposed to some other communities. Justin, if you don't mind. Now, obviously, this is the key of what I'd like everyone to consider here. Basically, I'm trying to bring a 2-month event to the city, a recurring 2-month event. So many benefits to, baseball is a family event. It's there for adults. It's there for the entire community, unlike some other sports. It's an outdoor event that appeals to the entire community. The downtown core, I can assure you, will see immense traffic from what we bring to the city, hopefully. And I'm targeting McMillan Park specifically. You'll get all the traffic that comes in for the games. It can spill out, obviously, a walk to the downtown core. And it keeps, the most important thing, it keeps that entertainment dollar in Thorold. I know right now, obviously, I can imagine most of the entertainment dollars goes to, leaves the city and other communities. I'd like to keep it in Thorold. I'd like to give everybody a reason to stay here and spend their money here and improve what the community has to offer. It's going to attract a lot of people from outside in neighboring communities as well. I mean, you'll get them from, the Toronto area, I know that, and all the communities that are surrounding here. Give them a reason to come into Thorold and enjoy the downtown, enjoy everything, and enjoy the baseball, and enjoy an event. There's a social benefit, civic pride. It's a very, very unique thing. It's, if you have this team in this area, you'll eventually have some major league players that played in Thorold, Ontario, and not, any neighboring communities or it's just not about Toronto and the big city. Like they'll be coming to play in Thorold, and then there's a lot of civic pride in that. I think, anyways, and I'd like to see that happen in Thorold. So, jobs and internships, obviously, with a venture of this size, there's going to be those opportunities. Goes without saying. You've got just alone the families of the players, the families that will just be spending their summers here. They'll be here every day. That's how baseball works. They'll be here to watch their kids, spending money here, staying here. So there's a lot of benefits that the city will be able to realize as well. So the local businesses, obviously, for this venture to be successful, it'd be my job and up to me to make sure everybody in the community is part of this. So, all the businesses that are involved, and increase exposure for all. So it's just, the idea is to kind of increase Thorold's overall exposure. So along with that, like I said, there'll be other events we can attract once you upgrade the facility. And they know this team is here. There's the CPPL is the elite prep league. It's a very elite prep league that gets kids into college, host those events, high school, university, minor baseball, work with those people to bring better, bigger events to the city. And again, just increase the overall exposure for Thorold. I know, just having done this, and you can look down the road what happened in Welland a little bit. I think this will be even a little bit bigger than that as far as how it's viewed. The baseball's better. What it can do for a community, what it can do just for everybody involved, and the pride that people feel within their community that this happens in this city. So that's how I envision the benefits for that. Justin, if you don't mind. So here's what our ask would be. Obviously, there's going to be some commitment from both sides here, but we would just need the facility to be upgraded. There would be a financial commitment, of course. Clubhouses, washrooms, concessions, press box, just the standard things you'd need for, people to come and watch your product and to have, a first-rate facility. New dugouts, seating will have to be, put into there. Obviously, over time that can be constructed. A deck type thing where you can have people have fun in left field. You can have your fun area with some breweries and things like that. And right field, you would have all family section along those lines. And obviously with that, you're probably going to need, I know you're going to need a construction for minor baseball facilities in addition, which I'm sure you need already. So we would absolutely work with everybody to make sure that gets happened, but that would be our ask of the city. So that's kind of what we're looking to do, and we're looking to partner with the right city. And I can just tell you, and you can switch that slide if you want, Justin. I can just tell you right up front, the reason I'm here in Thorold is because this means a lot to me, and I grew up here, and that's why I've come back here. I know this area. I have a lot of family still here, and I'm here all the time, and I know this is the right community for it. And this community has grown immensely since I was a little boy going to the parade when it became a city. I remember that. And the neighborhood ballpark, every part of it, this would be a passion project for me, and absolutely a commitment I would make to the city to be here and bring this and see this thing through. So thanks for listening to Every Head. I'm here for questions if you obviously have any, and I'd love to discuss this further, and I'm always available. So is there any questions? I'll open it up.
Thank you, Mel. I appreciate you coming. Great presentation. Any questions I have a few questions, but any questions for the presenter from anyone else? Nobody? Oh, Peter?
Good evening, and through you, Chair. I mean, nice outline around the benefits for Thorold. Like anything else, you know, not that I'm. I'd like to know what have you attempted to put in a league or a team somewhere else before?
I have not.
And what would you anticipate? Like, there's some benefits for Thorold, and I always find that there's a balance in the equation. The costs. Have you any idea of what the costs might be for this project? Have you undertaken any kind of estimate for that?
Well, and again, we would work with everybody to obviously provide some more substantial costs, but sure, you're going to be looking at, what do you think, Gord, like $1 million type thing to upgrade the facilities in and around that area, for sure. I mean, you're building a clubhouse. I mean, the deck won't be that expensive to build. We're not looking for a 3-level deck, you know, just something. That's the easy part. But upgrading dugouts, washrooms, and the seating area. Now, obviously, the seating area, over time, you could improve that. You know, there's other solutions you can do right away that's a lot cheaper just to get things on the move and start the project. Like you put in stands that are very functional, like they would do for any temporary event, but we would like to see something more substantial. So I'm thinking probably in the $1 million range for what we're looking at.
And you haven't come up with a sort of a cost and you know, a forecast of what you think ticket sales might be and what we might be able to do. And like, I'm just thinking running this like an OHL game, you need security, you need ticket people, you need LCBO licenses and all that stuff. And what's the cost? And
that is all the stuff we would worry about and we would take care of, obviously, running a business like we would here. I don't expect to put 5,000 people in, but I can absolutely assure you I would be very disappointed if we weren't putting over 1,000 people a night in there on average. I know how these work, and the uniqueness of this event coming to this city, it would be a big deal. And obviously that kind of stuff is on someone like me, and the reason I'm fronting this project is for a couple reasons. One, like I said, I have the passion for this city, so I'm not just going to come in here and, you know, take off if it doesn't work. I've got a reputation, A, that I've developed within the game, and B, I've got family members that still live here. So this is something that absolutely, so we would make a commitment like signing a lease as well and work with the city so everybody wins. It's got to be a win. Like, certainly I'm not expecting, you know, you to build me a ballpark or upgrade this facility and then, you know, I'm going to walk out the door because, it just didn't work in a year and a half. That's just not why I'm at this city specifically.
And just so is the competition the same as what they do in Welland right now? Is that the same level, or is
no,
it higher?
It's higher.
Okay. It's
higher. So Welland is like, it's hard to describe it. Like, it's very good. Don't get me wrong. My son played there for a couple of years when he was done playing professionally. It's an elite senior ball, basically, is what it is, a semi-pro league. Ours are all aspiring college kids. You can only play here if you attend a university or a junior college, your college years. You cannot play here if you do not attend. This is for the elite college player. So you're going to have very high-end players throughout the entire roster. So it's a step up from what they do.
And my last question, so that would obviously mean international players as well.
It would mean international players, but our focus is to give the Canadian kids a place to play. That's 100% the goal, is to, because our Canadian kids, my son had to play in Missouri and New England. They just have to. There was no leagues or no teams here. So the target would be highlighting the Canadian kids. Would we have some international kids? Sure. I think that you're going to have some, but the goal is to bring those kids home, so they can come home for the summer, play 2 months, and they meet the requirements of their college coaches. Their coaches, yeah, let's play. That's a good league and a good team, and they're happy with it. So that is the goal, the Canadian kids first.
Thank you.
Good. No more questions. I think I saw Mike.
I got one for you. Yep.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Ken. Can you hear me? I'm cutting out. Sorry.
Yeah, you're
We can
good.
hear you.
Okay. Thank you for coming in and giving this a presentation. I just had a couple of questions. The cost, I know it's going to be very expensive, $1 million. I've been running a business for 35 years. And every time I would partner something with people, I would say, what skin do you have in the game? You got to bring some money to the table. I know if it doesn't go, you're going to stay committed for a year or two. But once you start losing money, it doesn't happen. You could walk away and we're stuck with spending $1 million. I just feel more comfortable if they can bring something in, some sponsorship money, something. And I wish you the best, and I think it will work, but not everything. I don't have a crystal ball either. And it's a big commitment dropping $1 million if it doesn't work. And what's how much you're going to charge the kids to pay? And are they going to go in Welland? Or are they going to go to another market? Like, there's a lot of questions I need to know.
Sorry, I just missed that last part about them going to Welland. What was that? You cut out a bit there at the end.
Yeah, I said I was saying how much. I'm sorry. I was saying how much you're going to charge. Will for that 2-month period? Will it be too expensive for the kids? Or there's other places they can go? There's so many things that could happen in that short period of time.
No, like we wouldn't. Whatever, it's going to be part of the league standard procedures. Like those kids will want to be here. They're when we recruit somebody, this is a this is something they really want to do. So as far as us having skin in the game, I understand that, and that's why, again, like I said, I'm willing to make a commitment to the city of obviously making sure this business stays here for a certain amount of time. Clearly negotiable. One thing I will say, when you're looking at building ballparks or upgrading facilities, I have a lot of contacts in all those areas, which would help, foster some good relationships where, you're not overspending or overcommitting. We'll bring that expertise too, and we'll manage all those projects for everybody if need be as well. So we have no problem managing all the projects and being partners in this. But clearly, obviously, we want the city that wants to invest in their city and give some, the citizens something reason to stay here and keep the money within the city and have all the businesses benefit throughout that. So understandable, but we're certainly willing to make a longer-term commitment than a year or something along those lines. There's no question.
Yeah, I understand. I just have this with the money. I'd like to see something, you bring something to the table, even something, 100,000, something to the table. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, and certainly we're up for discussions along those lines as well. So, I wouldn't say that we just shut the door and here's but we're willing to talk with people. But, obviously, we think we're bringing a lot of benefits as well to the city.
Well, and I can tell when it comes to the kids, they're not allowed to play elsewhere. So if their school or their coaches have said, well, you can play in this league, they can't just say, no, I'm going to go play in Welland. They're committed to having to play at a certain level when they come back. So
correct, and that's where they're placed, and we recruit them. They sign an agreement like you would any other thing, and they'll be a Thorold ball player for that summer. There's no question about it.
Thank you, Mike. George.
Thank you.
Your hand next.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Interesting concept. I'm just curious, what is your ideal timeline for seeing this come to fruition?
Absolutely. We want a team in this area for 2025. Now, I realize that it's not necessarily that easy to move things forward and have everything pristine and ready to go on, June 1st, 2025. But we're certainly willing to work with the city and move things forward. If we had, partial where we could at least play that year one and working towards a long-term goal for the facilities, that is something obviously that's understandable. But we're definitely going to put a team somewhere in 2025, and I want it to be in Thorold. I mean, I know there's 3 ballparks within 20 minutes from here. You got Meriton, you've got Niagara Falls, you've got Welland. They're plug and play, and I just don't want to consider doing that, as my heart's here in Thorold, and I'd like to see Thorold be the high-end community that is the first to do this, and that would be something really special for me and hopefully for everybody else involved. So that's what I'm looking to do, anyways.
All right, and just one other question. I'm presuming that if council wanted to proceed with this, they'd be wanting to look at a business case. Is that something you'd be able to put together for them?
Oh, absolutely. yeah, we would certainly be able to. And again, look, we got not a lot of time here, and this is the first we're doing it. I'm hoping this can spur on more discussion and more questions,
Right.
and yeah, absolutely. We'd love to take this further and just go a little deeper. I mean, it's hard to get across everything you have in the 10 minutes here. So, of course, we'd be willing to, go much deeper than this and show you what the benefits are.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, George. Anyone else have any questions? Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You partially answered something that I was going to ask.
Okay.
I got to say, in principle, I'm inclined to support you.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to make sure if we build it, they will come.
Right.
Okay, so you've already tentatively got a franchise organized. It's just a matter of where you're going to put it.
Right.
Okay, that was my concern. I've heard of Major League Sports. Let's build
Good
ourselves
point.
a 50,000
Good
seat
point. I
stadium
can assure
and
you
hope
we will
get
have a
hope we
team
get
to play here.
franchise.
Yeah, good. No, and that's a fair question. Like, obviously, before shovel hit ground or, dollars committed, we would certainly have a team guaranteed, letter of intent, everything that you need to ensure that the city's looked after on that regard, no question. And again, like I said, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think I could do that. I just wouldn't put my name on the line like that. But fair question.
Thank you, Joe. Good question. Robert, do you have a question? I saw your hand
Well,
up.
I think it was partly answered as well, is that these players, is it by invitation that they come, or do they may have to make a 2-month commitment to play in Thorold, or the team that they intend to play for?
Well, and that would be obviously one of my roles there. Yeah, I'd want a 2-month commitment to come into this community and be a part of this community. Like, one of these things and one of my expectations of these kids is they come in and they participate in everything going on in this community, and so does this organization. Minor baseball is a very, very big deal, and obviously, as it should be, you're trying to build the entire, Thorold baseball reputation. So these kids would come in. I mean, obviously there are certain circumstances where you'll have some kids that, for whatever reason, but I expect the 2-month commitment from these kids, and they want to be here. Trust me, this is a big deal for these kids. There'll be scouts at this game looking, at these kids for draft picks. So they need to perform, and this isn't just farting around, sorry for my language, for the summer and just having fun with your friends. This is something they need to do, and they need to perform to put their name on the map for Major League Scouts.
Is that good, Robert, or you got any more questions?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Anyone else? Nobody?
Yeah, I'll just tell you, like, this, some of the 2 leagues we're targeting, the 1 league, that I have in my mind as well. If you go back, some of these leagues are 100+ years old, and they've had these kids coming through. And the ones in New York are not that old. One in particular, you build and you get these kids, and now the starting second baseman for the Baltimore Orioles came from this league. So you're just going to see more and more in that. And my vision, take my City of Thorold hat on, put my baseball hat on, that's what I'm going to build here. I'm going to build something really special where you're having Major League Baseball players as kids come through, and they're in the community, and perhaps they're billeted by, certain people, and it just becomes a real community enterprise. But that's what we're looking at. It's just not putting some sort of semi-pro team in here and just and again, it's a 2-month event, recurring every year, 2-month event that will, and it's only 20 dates, so it's like, let's say 4 weekends, but those 4 weekends are going to be a big event in the city that people will come to Thorold for this event, hence the ask. So that's what you're looking at. So that's the vision I have, and it's much grander than just 500 people in a ballpark. It's it builds it up. You build a reputation, and then Thorold's known as the place where, in this area, it doesn't exist anywhere else. That's why it's where a major leaguer comes to play. A professional baseball player will come through this city, and that's how I envision it. And that's again why I'm back in the city I grew up in.
Thank you, Mel. Anybody else have any, oh, go ahead, Sean.
Sorry, through you, Chair. Is there a particular league or location you've modeled your design after that we could kind of look at analog?
Absolutely. I mean, I sent there's stuff that Justin sent out in the meetings, the minutes before, that has YouTube links you can look at. It's all there for you. I'll see what communities, how they benefit from it. It actually, you have it. Is it in the email, Justin, that you sent out? It's all there with links. I think you sent it out a couple days ago. So it's there for you. We put some stuff together. And of course, if you have any other further questions, any other thing I can provide you that shows you the impact in those communities, I'm happy to send it to you personally. You can just reach out to me as well. Yeah, so there's a league. The only league in Canada is the Western Canadian Baseball League. It's in Alberta and Saskatchewan. You know, they do so well out there, but there's nothing in this area. There's only the Thunder Bay team. There's a team called Okotoks Dogs, and they put $3,500 a night in there. And obviously, it's, you know, facilities. You can, you know,
Yeah.
you need that to put it in there. But it's every night that they're lined up around the block. These college kids come into this community. The community welcomes them, like they're billeted families throughout, and it's just it's so successful. And there's a lot of those things I can send you as well if you want to see my vision of what can happen for Thorold. They're in smaller communities. That's the whole idea. Is that if you go to, you know, it's not going to work in Toronto, so to speak, you know, or even the neighboring communities. It works here.
Yeah, got another question for you?
Yeah, through you again, Chair. Does the current condition of the park prohibit you from moving forward the way it is today?
Yes, it does. There's no clubhouses. You have to have facilities for these kids. The dugouts need to be bigger. We have to put seating in. Like I said, even if you put temporary seating in, fine for the first year, you could obviously work with that. But you need the facilities with the dugouts and the clubhouses for sure. That's the big thing. Like I said, could we compromise on 2025 just to get everybody moving in the same direction? There's a lot of things we can do to play.
We do kind of have a clubhouse that might be used in an interim and a concession stand that
Right.
could be used. So, okay.
Right.
Any other questions? Nobody? I got a few for you if you
Yeah.
don't mind. Sorry.
Absolutely.
So you just play on weekends? Is that what you said?
No, we'll play about 20 to 25 dates, depending if you make the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
The weekends obviously are your big event days, but so you'll have a homestand. You usually take like Monday off. There's no games.
Right.
So this is to prepare kids for pro ball. So it's every day.
Right.
So we'll have a homestand Tuesday through Sunday. Then we'll go on the road, obviously. Everybody can follow us out there.
Right.
And then you come home. So you're basically a week. So sometimes it's, depending on the bus, you could play Tuesday and Thursday and have Wednesday where you're, because of the geography you're playing in, you know, Batavia, you know, those, so, but there are homestands. There, like I said, there's about 20 dates that you're looking at
So
over
if
those 2
we
months.
go further, and I don't like to shut any doors, like even when we had pickleball here, I like discussions. I like
Yeah.
to see if things can work. They don't always, but
Yeah, absolutely.
you mentioned the Orioles, so that's a check mark for you.
You Orioles fan?
And his son's name is Mattingly, I believe, right?
Yes,
I
my
went
son's
to a
name is
game,
Mattingly,
a Yankee
yeah.
fan, but so I
Sorry
like to
about
keep
that.
the doors open and the discussion open, and you never know, right?
Right.
So I know that we have a basketball team that runs at a Thorold, right? We have Junior B hopefully coming back soon, and it would be nice to see something like this at our ballpark. Obviously, you'd work with our minor baseball and the anchors, right? You know we have those guys. They are doing wonderful things, and we'd have to work with them on anything that came through, but I'm assuming you're open to that.
I've had preliminary discussions, and I'm going to have more this week, obviously. So I'm meeting with both parties this week.
Okay.
Just-
I've heard everything, and I hope this comes to council, and I hope we have more conversations on this, because I'd really like to see something like this, to be honest with you, but let's keep talking.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Sorry, do we need a motion to put this forward so they can bring it forward to
Yeah,
council?
yeah, I think so. Do you want to put that motion forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peter, you can put a motion forward to bring this to council at probably not tomorrow's meeting, but
Right.
For our next one, and we can discuss it there too. Okay, Joe, second it? All those in favor?
So just to get clarification, you are
Pass.
just to bring this presentation for information to council? Is
The
that what we're
council,
looking
yeah,
for?
that's
Okay.
it. Yep.
Yep.
And then I'm assuming you'll be talking with Jeff and different people in the city, and we'll get the ball rolling.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Oh, hold on. Councillor Dudwise?
I was just agreeing with the motion, just put my hand up to vote.
Oh.
That's it. Sorry.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for your time, everyone.
Appreciate you
Much
coming.
appreciated. Thank you.
All right, everybody, we're going to move on to correspondence. Correspondence CLK-C1 2024. The municipally significant event designation for the 6th Annual Jeff Youngblood Memorial Hockey Tournament that passed at council on January 16th. Unanimous. It's a great event. We don't need to do anything with that, do we, Justin? No? Our website, Natalie, I see you're on here, and Jacob. Do you want to add anything to this website that you're updating? It looks great, by the way, everybody, and it's easier to use than it used to be, and it has a lot more information on there. So if anybody has a chance to take a look, take a look. Natalie, do you want to add anything to that?
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay. We were going to share our screen, if that's okay.
Sure.
Justin thought it might be a good idea. For those who haven't seen it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So basically what we did, Jacob and I worked away at this, and I updated all the banners within the recreation and culture just to give it a fresh look. So if you go through, you'll see they're branded with some fresh images, nice and clean. I'm trying to bring in some more diversity into the banners as well. Where I may need help from everybody on the committee is to go through the content because you're more familiar with it, specifically the sports clubs and community organizations. And let me know if you see anything that's not current there or inconsistent in these areas, or maybe not even a group anymore. I'm not sure. What else? I also went through all of the trails, and because I myself am a hiker on my off time, I made sure to update all these trails and fix broken links and add in some new ones that I feel are important to the area. If you have any more to add, please let me know. And what else? The parks. I went into the parks and I went through and resized all the images so that they're more balanced on the page. They were sort of mismatched in shape. I'm thinking we could maybe even add some more images come the summer when the weather's a little nicer. I am a photographer, so I could go around to the parks and take some nice beauty shots of the parks as we go and build that area up. And again, if you see any inconsistencies or things that we don't have in these areas, like the descriptions, if you feel they should be have some more facts added to them, just let us know. Some more points. And that's about it, unless Jacob wants to add something more at his end.
Jacob, you got anything to add?
Not particularly, just that we're also going to be updating some images for the halls and working on getting some floor plans added for that as well, just because that's kind of a common question that comes in sometimes. People that haven't been to the halls and maybe are looking to book it for a certain event often wonder what the floor plan's like, how they can use the space. So once the halls are kind of finished being updated a little bit with some minor painting that was being done, we'll also be looking to add that, and me and Natalie have been coordinating on that as well.
Great.
So
thank
I'm
you.
planning to go in and take some beauty shots there as well to help promote it. Oh, and then one other thing, Jacob, we were talking about having just everything point to the one portal to reserve for different functions, not only the halls, but skate times, if they want to book a park. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
in the past, there's kind of been a few different tabs to click through, depending if you wanted to say book the arena, you'd go through one chain of tabs and links to find out to book the ice. If you wanted to book a hall, there'd be a different kind of pathway that you'd get to that. So Natalie's trying to help work and basically make a booking landing page where if you wanted to book anything in Thorold, whether it be ice, a hall, a park for a different event or something like that, there's kind of one general landing page just to make it a little bit easier for everyone to navigate as well.
Basically, we're streamlining it so it's less clicking for people. It just all points to the one area.
Right. It looks great.
So, yeah, if you have any questions, let us know, or comments.
Anyone here got any questions or comments?
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot better.
Yeah, just with respect to the booking of the arenas, I know we, like, our participation at the, I guess we don't do that, but like for the Walker's Ability Complex, do we have any bookable space there?
Well, I can say I have seen a lot of on Facebook and online, hey, we got ice, hey, we have ice. I think that's Natalie sending that out. So we're trying to more proactively let people know there's more ice out there. Here's where you can book and everything. But I'll let Natalie or Jacob talk about that.
Actually, I did have Jacob update that in the one area for booking the ice rentals, I believe. He.
How do you know where you're booking?
Well, that's the problem. That's why what we're doing at the back end of the website to try and streamline it.
Yeah.
But as far as the arenas go,
Good point, though.
there is ice time to be booked. We just sent out a survey that Jeff had me build. It's right here. You may have seen me promoting it on social media, on our landing page of our homepage. It's also here. And we found out that 75% of the residents are okay with going to Canada Games Park for some of the skating programs that we are unable to hold at the Thorold Community Arena. So it's my understanding, and Jacob, you can jump in, that a lot of the times booked for hockey games at the Thorold Community Arena. So then we didn't have flexibility to move things like the tiny tots, for instance, into the evenings for parents who are working all day or onto the weekends. So then Jeff said, why don't we use up some time over at the Canada Games Park? We have arenas over there. But let's get feedback from the community. And as I just said, 75% so far are fine with going there to for some of this programming for their families and whatnot.
That's good.
So I think that's where the direction we're headed. And yes, it has been me sharing the ice time on social media.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good point, though. If you could go to one spot and know you could book either place, then that would help people make it easier for people as well.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
okay. Thank you. Any more questions? Anybody online? No? Okay. Thank you, Natalie.
You're
All right.
welcome. Thank you.
So I don't know exactly what this is. Justin, maybe you could help me. Is that spelled right? New skating aids?
Yeah, so Jacob has more information on that.
Okay. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hi, Justin. If you could just share my screen as well. it up there for
We
everyone
see
to
it
see?
there now, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So what I've been looking into over the last little while is getting some new skating aids in the arena. Previously, we had two that were available for public skate, and they were kind of more of a consumer brand. They were a little bit rickety. One recently, it's kind of come and broken, but just not really something that would be more commercially suitable for something like a municipal hockey rink. So I've just been looking into what other options are out there. I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the committee. This is something that I've seen kind of at a few different rinks. It's called Skate Helper. Basically, it's a molded plastic unit. Kind of as you see it cycling here, they show that two can be stacked. So if an adult wanted to use it, you could also stack two for maybe a larger or older person that's learning to skate. And then they're also available for people as an accessible option. So just going down to the gallery here, you can see that you can use them with a wheelchair. So it also brings a level of inclusiveness that we don't currently have at the arena. So just an option that I'm looking into exactly how we could fund something like this. I did reach out to the company for an initial price. They cost about $271 per unit. So I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the committee, see if anyone could brainstorm some ideas, if maybe we could raise some money, fund some money, or maybe find some money in the budget to incorporate this into our arena and then offer it for public skating use as well as other skating groups that were teaching skating lessons out of the arena.
Thank you. It looks great. Maybe older people who need to learn to skate again can use it, like myself or anybody else. But I like that. I like just the idea of for people with disabilities, if it helps them, that this should be a no-brainer for us to have in our budget. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, anybody have any questions for Jacob on this? Anybody online have any questions? I can't see. Does anybody have their hand up, Jess? No? Okay.
And there is another option too for possible revenue generation or to help offset the cost. As you can see in this picture, each unit does have a space for advertising. So we could also potentially approach some local businesses and see if we could get sponsorship to help with either the initial purchase or keep them up for a period of time that maybe could be possibly help generate some revenue for replacement in the future as well.
Good idea. I think this is something we should absolutely do. But I'll leave it with you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Jacob. And now I've got 8.2, tree shrub pruning along the canal path. Was anybody speaking on that, Justin, or?
So Committee Chair Daniels brought this up, and I got some images that were shared with me as well. I'll put up about some concerns.
Okay.
Ken, that was me that submitted those pictures to
okay.
Justin.
Okay.
Am I okay to speak?
Yeah, go ahead, George.
Yep. So if you can just hold it right there for a second, Justin. The other day, when I saw this on the agenda, I've seen this before along the park, the canal trail, and the gabion wall on the west side there. We're starting to see a lot of small trees growing into the gabion wall. And if you go to the next slide, Justin, there you can see where the wire's actually gone through into the trunk of the tree, and at some point this tree is going to keep growing and it's going to start bursting the wire on these gabion baskets, which of course is going to start to compromise the wall. Now everything can be repaired, and then Jason, if you can just slip along some of the other pictures, like this one isn't as egregious as some of the other ones. We just move along. Okay, so here's a fairly big tree that's growing right in the top of the gabion wall. And again, these roots are going to start going down into the rocks, and at some point, as that tree gets bigger and bigger, it's going to start bursting the wire on the the gabion basket. So my thought here, along with the trimming, which I think that Chair Daniels was talking about, because the city doesn't seem to have a proactive plan on maintaining this canal trail, specifically on the canal side of it, where the bushes seem to grow through. And I think it's usually done on a reactive basis, where people call in and complain to say that, you know, the trail's getting very narrow. But my concern on the other side with this wall is, you know, the wall was built many, many years ago, and I'm sure there's some kind of an agreement that was put in place that who had to maintain the wall and the trail. And I guess we need to go back historically and find out what that agreement says. And then I think the city should look at some type of a proactive approach to dealing with all this vegetation that's growing in there, because just simply cutting them down doesn't work. Because that one where you saw me pointing at the where it was growing into the wire, I've watched that one get cut down year after year, and it just keeps getting bigger, because this is just garbage trees that are growing, and you can't, you know, kill them by cutting them down. So the city would have to look at some type of environmentally friendly way of killing them so that they don't eventually damage the structure of that wall. So my thought would be that the city needs to come up with a proactive plan to maintain the canal side where the shrubs grow through, rather than being reactive. And also we need to go back and have a look at who's supposed to maintain this wall, and put some kind of mechanism in place so that this tree that we're looking at right now, which is probably about 6 or 8 inches in diameter, in 4 or 5 years, it's going to be like 10 or 12 inches in diameter, because it's just a garbage tree and they grow like crazy. And then we're going to have a problem where the wall starts to burst. So that was my thoughts when I saw this on the agenda about the trail.
Okay, thank you. Good thoughts. Jacob, if I could ask you, if we put a motion in, or how would we go about finding out the history and who takes care of it and how we're supposed to take care of it, while also getting out there and doing it? What would you recommend we do for this? Should we send a motion to yourself, to Jeff, to staff to look into those two things, or what would you? Oh, Jeff's there. There you go. Jeff, what would you recommend?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the city is responsible for the maintenance of those, not just the trail, the asphalt, but also any of the retaining walls. And you may recall at our last council meeting, we awarded a contract to do some repairs to the gabion baskets in a section right next to the flight locks, which will require us to close the trail temporarily for a couple of days until that work gets done. What we can do is I'll ask my staff, weather permitting, to go and have a look at these types of situations that you brought to our attention, and where it makes sense to cut them down, we'll do that. And I understand the need to have a proactive approach to this. Appreciate that from Mr. Ravnik. So we do regular trail inspections to make sure the condition, there aren't any hazards or things that might lead to injury or a claim against the city. We'll add to our checklist the condition of the vegetation that's growing up into the gabion baskets and anything that might be a hazard. Of course, we want to be sensitive to the feedback we get from our environmental climate change committee and biodiversity committee. So we need to be maybe selective as to where the annual pruning and trimming takes place. But these examples that you brought to our attention are things that are going to lead to, major failure of the gabion baskets if we don't deal with them now. So I think if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair, we'll take your message here, and we'll try and incorporate something into our annual program. And if you like, we can bring a memo or some type of information back to a future meeting indicating how we're going to address these. I don't know that it needs to go to council, but if you wanted to be brought to council's attention, that's up to the committee.
Are you good with that, George?
Yeah, it's a good starting place, yeah.
I know we have trouble on the canal side because there's the rail corridor and everything, and it comes to, you know, who owns what and who can touch what, but definitely on our side, we should do that. Thank you, Jeff. That would be great. Anybody else have any other questions or comments on that? All right, seeing none. We're on to roundtable discussion. How about I start online and then I'll move around our room? Is that good with everybody? Robert, you want to go first? You have any?
I have nothing.
Okay, thank you. Jeff? Nothing? Cheryl?
Nope, not today.
Jacob?
Nothing for me, thank you.
George? Mike?
I'm good. Nothing.
Natalie?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay. Peter?
Nothing.
Joe?
Nope, I don't think so.
Rich?
No, I think I'm good.
You guys are easy. Justin?
I'm good, thank you.
Deborah? Sean?
All good.
Okay, I just have one thing to add that we are doing a Sullivan Park PIC, and it's advertised on our website. So if anybody, whether you're in that region or not, has any ideas, keep an eye out for that and get your ideas in there, especially if you live around the area. Okay, that's all. So the next meeting will be held on March 4th. And if there's no further business, we'll adjourn. Have a good night.